Hello there, Commonwealth Rom here. Kept you waiting for the next gameplay episode, but we had to go over the Triforce of Combat in Zelda first. Enemies, weapons to counter these, and even more challenging bosses. But now we're back to our gameplay commitment, as we're still, as of the upload date of this video, on December 4th, aka when I'm still in Japan, waiting for the first gameplay from the Zelda team and Nintendo. For now we have to settle with the equally awesome shots provided to us by Saitcho. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, aim 2022 plus likes, and let's provide you the replacement until then with Inside Tears of the Kingdom gameplay. Underground, a brand new mining system suggested by yours truly. I think I've been sitting on this idea since August now, before Breath of the Wild 2 became Tears of the Kingdom. But I wanted the right video for it, where we begin underground and gradually make our way up to the heaven that is the sky. So what is the big concept in question? In simplest terms, offering even more, better and seamless ways to mine resources than walking up to a sus rock and hammering it down for say a diamond. The only stone that was always needed for the only weapon repair system we had in Breath of the Wild outside of the Master Sword. You know, the weapons that belong to the 4 champions. But unearthing these was unnatural, since what has humanity been mostly doing underground since times unknown? Mining to extract all sorts of stones, minerals and natural resources. Coal, silver, gold, diamonds, you name it. I'm just saying that with numerous underground caves and potentially even systems replacing the Sheikah shrines that are now gone, we need new underground activities. In the first episode we mentioned minecart minigames and progression, but why do you have these in the first place? The answer is obvious, as a supplement to the mine itself. And why do we even have a mine? To rip out the precious materials of the earth for burning or cutting, melting and shaping. You see the possibilities? Breath of the Wild was all about turning Zelda more organic than any past title, and most other open world video games. And though the mining system in the game was good, it could be so much better. Well, that and organic, as the underground should be where the best mining collections are found in the game, but which are also the most treacherous to reach. Dug down valuables that shine from beneath our feet, or the rocks in the walls next to us. A massive incentive to explore this linear and more traditional 3D Zelda corridor layer, filled with new enemies but also plenty of rewards. The more seamless this combo is, the better, as it elevates the quality of what most people will write off as the dullest of areas when it might be just as good, if not even better, than what is found above it, to a degree that we wish there was more of it. Something that might serve as inspiration for future Zelda games. Diamonds, ruby and other precious stones in new locations and in the most logical places if we went out to mine some of these precious stones ourselves. And yes, far more stones like say platinum and the 2 most basic, gold and silver, which were not present in Breath of the Wild but can be added when some of the mining is moved underground in Tears of the Kingdom. Then what about the mining sites on the surface? Glad you asked, so let's move up there for the Eindalik's suggestion, which goes as follows. Water sports like surfing, deep sea diving or cave diving. It fits well with the cool extreme sports theme that Breath of the Wild and its DLC promoted. End quote. Indeed, so let's cover each of these one at a time, beginning with surfing. Could you imagine how much fun we might have with that next to Lurelin or Eventide Island? The ideas of shield surfing just apply to a different board on the water. It's so genius and simple to implement that it just needs to be done. Lurelin had only one minigame in Breath of the Wild, namely the simplest one imaginable, the chest game. But right here, we have something that fits a tropical, sea-based culture, surfing on waves that will offer a new challenge on seas that had no other challenge than getting back on land before we drowned in Breath of the Wild. There were no water-based activities provided by and with rewards from an NPC in Breath of the Wild, even from the Zora, and that was a complete joke seeing that 3D Zelda games were the king of water activities in the past. Surfing with a Lurelin audience and cool rivals with attitude now that Revali might be gone. That is exactly what we need. Well, that was the water surface activity. Now let's get over to breaking Breath of the Wild's greatest map boundary, going underwater. Yes, the one thing that wasn't organic in the game. The most obvious expansion to the surface no matter how you turn it. And offering deep sea diving after sunken treasure or even exploring the remains of ships which tried to invade Hyrule from Akala, then we are really talking. Diving for treasure and new Zelda lore. That right there is how you make the sequel better than the original. You just need to break the surface of the water and reveal the secrets underneath, just like in the case of mining underground and seeking treasure right there. The main reason humans have taken the risk of diving into the depths, sunken riches on ships, and the search for the submerged city Atlantis. We all know that our own world served as inspiration for the creation of these 72 square kilometers in The Legend of Zelda. And which legend remains to this day one of the most fascinating? Atlantis, with the ancient Greek and Roman theme introduced in Breath of the Wild. It wouldn't surprise me if we actually find something here in Tears of the Kingdom, since we already had partially submerged structures in Breath of the Wild, the main entrance to the Great Plateau and the Sage Temple ruins, to name a few. This, but submerged under the sea, requiring diving. Now what was that last suggestion? Ah right, cave diving, which could be found in all of the 3 layers. Flooded caves underground, the same goes for the surface and even in the lakes with underwater caves in the sky. The possibilities tied to water are so rich that it would completely shock us if we cannot stay underneath the surface level of Hyrule's bodies of water in Tears of the Kingdom. Floating is basic, but going underwater is what defined the best 3D Zelda games, as they were filled with secrets. Speaking of floating, let's end this gameplay deep dive by tearing up to Tears of the Kingdom's Sky, where we find Freya Bell's comment. Quote, "For my Sky suggestion, maybe the floating islands can move around. It could be a continuous movement, so that they aren't always in the same place at the same time, but could possibly also be upon completing a specific area. At that point, the floating islands move to reveal something new, / move so that you're able to access higher areas which you couldn't before." A lot to unpack here, but also a fantastic suggestion, since underground and surface landmasses are stuck. Floating islands in a massive sky, on the other hand, don't have to. And right here we have the recipe for sky puzzles that take the shuffle design of Skykeep to heart. Only on a much grander scale than we saw in Skyward Sword, and instead of moving around chambers, moving around islands to get to the next temple, mastering the elements in every possible way. Restoring fallen pieces with the hand back where they first broke off from, but then also requiring us to think how to place them correctly to build bridges between the islands. You know, from the island we are on to new islands, and powers that will take us to the sky islands above our heads. We've mentioned this across a number of videos, but Breath of the Wild was designed to be horizontal. You saw something out there in front of you and wondered how to get to, while Tears of the Kingdom appears to be designed vertically, meaning that it most likely does not expand the boundaries of the existing map, as the aim is to make the most of the square map that we already have, underground, surface and sky. And by following the suggestion, the sky islands get both a horizontal pattern, but also potentially could serve as an elevator upon completing a said questline or puzzle to turn the same maneuverable floating rock into a sky elevator. You know, when there isn't a rock to tear through above us with the hand. What we are outlining here is what the next level Zelda could be, as it is gameplay that is nearly unheard of in the video game industry. A true combination of horizontal and vertical gameplay in a brand new layer, and that couldn't be more perfect for a direct sequel reusing the same open-air surface map by combining existing elements while also adding new additions to it. The Zelda team appears to have found a key to avoid falling into the expansion trap by reinventing what is there and changing our approach to what we see as familiar, while also keeping it familiar to those of us who know this franchise by heart, especially the older games. We have seen this with almost everything in the marketing of the game so far. The changed look of Princess Zelda and Ganondorf, the hand replacing Link's burnt off hand, the new layers that we remember from past games, at last fulfilling their potential, the broken Master Sword and the hint of combining it with something else found in the logo, and so on. So many gameplay improvements added over 6 years, and rightfully so, as this has been the longest wait for a new Zelda title to date, and it is clear that the Zelda team are still hiding away what we have covered across this video, but also far more. There's a reason why we didn't see any lengthy gameplay sequence for 3 years after the reveal. It is because this game is most likely filled with just as many gameplay surprises as Breath of the Wild. Less land to design means more time to have fun with new gameplay concepts and improving or altering existing ones. After all, it is all about striking the perfect balance of challenge and fun. And that is what the Zelda team wants to deliver when they decide to reuse the same 3D Zelda map for the game right after it. Anyhow, if you have any suggestions regarding Tears of the Kingdom's underground, surface and sky, then be sure to share them in the comment section down below for a chance to have them shouted out in a future episode of Inside Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gameplay. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, as this was the last Zelda video before the Game Awards 2022, so here is hoping for gameplay before 2023. Last but not least, a big thanks to all of you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/comearound patrons, and in particular, our role producer Charles. You all rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos. One of them is hopefully the first gameplay of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at the Game Awards 2022.